Hair, expression, eyes, which do you animate first in your head turn? After all, these small details make your character unique. You can't leave them out. So in this video, you're going to learn 3 things: the right order to animate those small details, how to use overlapping action, and find out when you don't need to draw everything perfectly. If you're coming back after watching the first 3 parts, thanks so much. And if you're new here, this is step 4, but that doesn't mean that you can't still enjoy it and then go back. Let's jump into it. What order should you add your details? You're going to want to start with your solids. These are the pieces, the elements of your face that don't bend, and they are securely attached to the face. These are the eyes, the nose, the lips, the ears, and any hard accessories like earrings, headbands, or collars. If you have a character turnaround sheet, you can copy these details for some of your frames, especially if they line up with the front view, the 3/4 view, or the profile view, because that's what a character turnaround sheet covers, which I go into more detail in part 1. But copying that turnaround sheet only works up until a certain point, because while you're adding in those details for the face, you're also animating your character's expression. This is what I would call a micro action, and you'll want to add at least 2. I already mentioned changing your character's expression. That could mean that the mouth is opening up a little bit or closing. It could mean you're adding a smile as they turn, they're keeping a neutral expression, or they're being shocked. But the second thing that you're going to want to add as your character's head turns, you're going to want to add a blink. Most people, when they turn their heads, they blink midway because we're closing our eyes to stop air from hitting our eyes because our eyes are sensitive. Those are the solids that you're going to animate and change as you move through your character head turn. Once you have your solids then, you're going to move on to the flexible elements. Flexible elements are attached to the head at one point and are free-flowing at the other. These are things like hair, scarves, really anything that bends or drags. Are you with me so far? If you think you know what the difference is between solid and flexible elements, use my head turn as an example and comment what's a solid and what's a flexible. And if you guess everything right, I will give you a thumbs up in the comments. In my head turn, there are 4 solids and 2 flexibles. There's the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and her hat. Because this hat is made out of inflexible material, so it is going to stay securely unless a big gust of wind comes and blows it off. And for the flexibles, in my case, I have 2. I have the most obvious one, which is her hair, and I have a flower in the hat. And it's on these flexibles where you have to start planning your overlapping action. This is how I've always thought of overlapping action. It's when parts of the body or accessories have a delayed reaction because it's being dragged by the main action. So how do you animate overlapping action? You're always going to want to set up that delay. So the head might start moving, but you're going to delay moving the hair by 1 or 2 frames, at least the end that's not attached to the head, because the end that's attached to the head, that's going to move with your head first. And then the bottom half of the hair, that's going to be delayed. You also have to add a second delay because just because the head comes to the stop doesn't mean the hair comes to the stop at the same time. That's what overlapping action is. Remember, it has that delayed reaction. So the head comes to a stop, but the hair is going to keep moving for at least a couple of frames before it falls back into place. And if your character has multiple flexible elements like mine does, only animate them one at a time. It's the best advice I can give you. Because flexible elements, they'll all move at different paces. And that's because of different weight, speed, and flexibility of the items. By this point, it sounds like every line matters. Every piece of detail must be perfect in order for your animation to be the realest and most alive that it possibly can. But it still doesn't have to be perfect, because not every frame needs to be drawn perfectly. You can intentionally mess up. Just think about animations in ye olde days, black and white kind of cartoons. They purposely, how do I put this? If you're new to animation, they broke their animations. Animators in the past, they purposely broke, for instance, Goofy's limbs to give him more of that floppy kind of animation style that we associate with classic Goofy. Not to mention all the smear frames that were created, because that's literally drawing a character looking like they're smeared, almost having 2 faces in one animation, in one frame, just to make it look like it's smearing. And if you don't believe me and you still feel like you have to make a perfect animation because you're not as good as the older animators, I left a wonky frame in my animation because I didn't want to spend time having to redo it again and again and again to get the perspective right. Did you spot it in my animation while it was playing? If you didn't, that's what my wonky frame looks like. I know that most heads, if you are drawing them right, they will have an indent where the nose is. I did not want to do that. I did not want to spend the time and take it, and I didn't think it was worth the stress of fixing it. So I guess now the question you might be asking is, how do you know when you can leave a wonky frame in? If you ask yourself these 4 questions and you answer no to all of them, then it's going to be fine to leave that frame in. The question you need to ask, is this a starting or ending pose? Is it a key pose or a breakdown? Is more than one drawing already wonky? Does it distract when the animation plays at full speed? Adding details is honestly the most fun stage. It's where your character really starts to feel alive. But was there a detail that I missed that you want me to go deeper on? Let me know in the comments, or if you're ready to clean up your lines and add some color, like this next video.